The number of children in ICE detention is raising alarms nationwide, and it's not just adolescents and school-aged children. It's also toddlers. A 2-year-old baby detained at the Dilley Detention Center in Texas is now free. Democratic Congressman Joaquin Castro, who called for his release, confirmed that he and his mother are back home. While at Dilley, the toddler, Colette, was sick and vomiting. He wasn't eating, ran a fever, and also had trouble sleeping. Guests on this show have also described similar dire conditions for children inside the facility. Take a listen to immigration attorney Eric Lee, who represents families in Dilley.
One of my clients had appendicitis, a child, in this same El Gamal family. The officials at this facility, when he came to them writhing in pain, screaming and crying, they told him, take a Tylenol and come back in 3 days. It wasn't until he passed out and started vomiting in the hallway that somebody finally came and took him to an urgent care.
Calls to close down this facility are growing, and this week, Stacey Abrams, alongside activists, held a vigil outside of Dilley and kicked off a reading initiative to call for an end to family detention once and for all. And now Stacey Abrams joins us. She's the founder of Fair Fight Action and host of the Assembly Required podcast. So, Stacey, it's really incomprehensible to think of a 2-year-old being detained in such conditions, and that's where we are. Can you talk about what you learned when you visited Dilley?
Thank you all so much for having me. We were able to make it to the gates of Dilley, and beyond there, you see this barren stretch of land and dormitories. It's basically a prison camp, and we have children being held in a prison camp in the United States. Not because they pose a risk, not because they were engaged in nefarious behavior, but simply because they were here and because we can. The work that I've been doing through the 10 Steps campaign is about how we reconnect our humanity to how we fight for our democracy. And if we cannot fight for our youngest people, the youngest souls in America, then we have already lost.
Stacey, what do you say to someone, because I hear this in conversation with voters and sometimes lawmakers who are supportive of this president's agenda on immigration, you know, that these facilities, these are the best way to keep kids together. You know, Democrats had been outraged about family separation, and so these facilities are necessary so that we can keep kids and their parents detained, and that's part of the way this system has to work. What would you say to them?
This system that they are being both willfully and fallaciously wrong. First and foremost, a lot of these are families that were showing up to ICE check-ins. They were following the law. These are not people who are running amok. These are not the criminals that we've been led to believe are roaming the streets of America. These were children in school. We knew where to find them. We knew where to find their parents. They were at bus stops getting ready to go to work. And there is no universe and there is no justification for torturing children. There's no degree of safety, no degree of necessity that requires that Khalith be denied access to health care, that an 18-month-old be given ibuprofen because she's coughing and it turns out she ends up with COVID, RSV, bronchitis, and pneumonia in the United States in 2026. These are choices. We are choosing to create harm because of the specter of difficulty. But these are not families that were not doing what we said. And our answer is that we have to read them home. We have to bring them home. They do not pose a danger. They are not a flight risk. They are not hiding. We knew where to find them. The issue is that this is meanness and cruelty that is designed to numb us to what is next in this authoritarian regime.
You bring up an important point, Stacey, about how connecting this humanity to our democracy and the fight for democracy. And I'm wondering if you can elaborate on what you just said right there, which is how does desensitizing us and making us numb to the suffering of people in this country pave the way for authoritarianism in other levels of our society? How does that connect the dots for our viewers so they can understand that?
There are some who are watching this saying, well, I've heard Stacey talk about voting rights. Why is she fighting on an immigration issue? And for me, it's all of a piece. the 10 steps to authoritarianism, when you lose democracy and authoritarianism rises, it takes 10 steps. And step 7 is that you scapegoat the vulnerable. And in the United States, that's largely been targeted at immigrants and DEI. And if you do that component piece, if you can scapegoat these communities, we start becoming numb to our concerns about their humanity. And then step 9 is that we normalize state violence. I came through the airport from Dilley, and ICE agents are roaming the airport. And we're supposed to get used to that, because the whole point is for us to forget what used to be. The way an authoritarian takes over a country is by convincing us that what we see is what we've always had, that what we are afraid of is necessary for our own benefit. There is nothing dangerous about a child. There is nothing pernicious about a family trying to make a living and showing up for their appointments. And so if there are 10 steps to authoritarianism, normalizing violence and scapegoating the vulnerable, there are also 10 steps to freedom and power. And in this moment of authoritarian rise, part of my mission through the 10 Steps campaign is to remind us that we can also do the good. If you went to a No Kings protest last week, you should be going to readthemhome.org today, because this is an action we can take. Step 2 in the 10 steps to freedom and power is that we've got to share what we know, and we've got to remind ourselves of our humanity and our agency. And so if you go to readthemhome.org, you can join us in this effort. We want folks to read books. Record yourself reading a children's story, post it online, and use the hashtag #ReadThemHome, because Congress can stop this right now. It happened under the Biden administration. It happened under the Obama administration. We can stop family detention. We just have to believe it's wrong to put parents and children in prison camps. And if that's a truth that you can hold, you can fight back against authoritarianism today.
Stacey, you mentioned that our viewers may know you for your work on voting rights. I wanted to get your thoughts on a recent executive order that the president signed that would ban mail-in voting and create a national voter list of citizens. As you may know, 23 states have sued to block that particular order. Can you lay out any thoughts you may have about where that litigation is likely to go?
Certainly. Again, the 10 Steps campaign is about making sure we're connecting all the dots. And I appreciate the question, because the biggest risk for Americans right now is that we see these as piecemeal and we don't recognize it's part of a pattern. And certainly, as your previous guest talked about with the war, it's also part of the pattern. Well, this is step 10 in an authoritarian playbook. You end democracy. So let's be clear. The executive orders are patently unconstitutional and illegal. The Constitution gives to the states the authority to determine how elections are held. What the Republican regime is upset about is that democracy has been working, that mail-in voting acknowledged the fact that not everyone gets up and goes to the farm on a Tuesday morning, and therefore we should have multiple ways to participate in elections. It's for seniors who can't leave the house. It's for rural communities. It is for students who are away from home but want to participate in our democracy. It's for working families who can't get off of work on a Tuesday during the middle of the day and have to have another way to cast a ballot. And so these mail-in voting decisions are patently illegal, although they're trying to use the Supreme Court to verify it and validate it. But the second piece, the creation of a database, that should terrify all of us. That is an attempt to do national surveillance, and it does not work. They tried it in Georgia. It was called the exact match system. It's the issue that I fought against when I was running for governor. They tried it in Kansas. They tried it in Missouri. They tried it in Texas. Americans have to verify their citizenship as a precondition for voting right now. What they're trying to do is to actually decide which citizens they like. They're trying to make a list so they can decide who gets to vote, because the 26 election and the 28 election are about shaving points. They know they can't completely overthrow the game. They're not going to try to end the elections. They're trying to shave points by eliminating voters they don't like, and Americans have to see it for what it is and fight back.
Stacey Abrams, always good to see you. Thank you for connecting those dots.
Thank you for having me.